comment on one of my videos about Social Security taxes. I was like, what Social Security taxes? So, like we do, I opened like 7 tabs, I'm researching, I'm looking into it, and I got so confused. And then I got enraged. I pulled out my old school calculator and kept looking into it. There was a lot of, wait, what? That can't be right. And in the end, it wasn't quite what I thought it was, but I'm still mad. But in typical GenX style, I decided to be practical and resigned. To be clear, I understand that we have to have taxes. That's not the problem. Taxes in and of themselves are but the problem is that ordinary people like me, and maybe you, don't have any idea this is part of the retirement equation. There's a lot to know, and when I started messing with my own numbers, I realized that could be hundreds of dollars of difference in my monthly take-home. I know, sorry, ooh, numbers, ugh. But stick with me because I realized that this could affect ordinary Gen X women like me who had no idea and were also in the dark. And while I love a good rage, I mostly wanted to learn how to protect my old lady self and you from potentially being blindsided by this and have less money each month. Also, once I understood what was happening, I realized there are a couple things one could do to prepare for such a thing. Okay, so if you didn't know this, prepare to go through all the stages of grief like I did. Here's the thing I didn't know. A chunk of your Social Security benefits could be taxable, up to 85%. Okay, and hold on, because this is the only super numbersy part. Whether or not that happens depends on something called your combined income. And that is your annual gross income, your tax-exempt interest. That'd be like if you had certain savings bonds. I don't have any of that. Plus half of your Social Security benefit. The part that shocked me wasn't that crazy formula. It's a little confusing, but it was the income limit. So check this out. If you're a single filer like me, and you make, that formula shows that you make over $34,000 a year, up to 85% of your Social Security can be taxed as regular income. $34,000, that's the income limit number. And here's where the betrayal actually lives. In 1993, that number was set, and it has not been adjusted since. And when I tell you about that a little more, I think your rage will go up a little bit too. In 1993, $34,000 was a decent income, and it's now barely twice the poverty line. In 1983, the year Michael Jackson moonwalked and I got my driver's license, Ronald Reagan signed the Social Security amendments that introduced taxation on Social Security benefits for the first time. At that time, 50% of the Social Security income of the highest earners would be available for taxation. Again, it was meant for higher income retirees. And then 10 years later, in 1993, Bill Clinton signed legislation that increased that to 85% and set the income limit to $34,000 for single filers that we have today. 2 presidents, 2 parties, and no one adjusted that number for inflation. So the point of saying that is that it was meant for higher tax bracket folks, and we moderate tax bracket folks are getting pulled into that net. So I'm not saying who we should blame. I'm just telling you that what was intended for one purpose is a bummer for those of us in the moderate income. It's not that you're going to be taxed on $34,000. $34,000 is the income limit for the year that triggers this 85% taxation. So once you're over that income limit, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit can be added to your taxable income. I think what caught me so off guard is that when I hear higher income retiree, I picture somebody a lot wealthier than me. And then I start messing with those numbers and I realize a whole lot of us are going to be in that same boat, not feeling secure and not feeling particularly well off, but being taxed like you're considered in the higher income. Now here's where I can tell you about the fix. I mean, there is one, sort of. In 2025, there was a lot of talk about eliminating Social Security tax at the federal level, and I was pretty excited. What actually passed was the One Big Beautiful Bill, which included a $6,000 deduction for seniors over 65. And for lower income seniors, that was amazing. It was helpful. But here's the catch. It phases out for single filers making over $75,000 a year, and it expires in 2028. So for me, I won't even be retired yet. And unfortunately, it didn't even touch the underlying problem that I'm talking about, those numbers from 1983 and 1993. If they could just scooch those numbers up a bit, it would be really helpful. So that fix was temporary, and it didn't quite fix the 40-year problem. And for women like me, maybe you, who are right in the middle, not poor enough to be protected and not well off enough to not care about any of this, it didn't move the needle much. So here's what I'm actually doing about that. First, as always, knowledge is power. So you need to know what your combined income is going to look like. And if that's over $34,000, you need to be prepared in your monthly budget to know that you can handle that tax hit. I don't want it to be a surprise for you at 65 or 67. Second, this is something I'm learning about. There are strategies around when you withdraw from your IRA, your 403B, when you take your Social Security. And I think as much as it is hard for us, some of us, to afford it, I think it'd be well worth our time and our money to get a CPA, a certified public accountant, certified, not just some finance bro, to help walk us through what is the best strategy for us to employ to get fewer taxes. So someone that understands income sequencing is what they call it. I'm not that guy. Third, know your state's rules. I'm going to read off the states because I don't have them memorized that still have a state tax. If you live in one of these 8 states, as of this filming, Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, Montana, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Utah, and Vermont. Those states still tax Social Security. And that's in addition to the federal taxes we've been talking about. That may or may not be a lot of money. It may or may not be influential when you go to later decide if you're moving to or from a state. But you should at least know what it is. I want to leave you with this. We grew up being told that if you worked hard, you did everything you were supposed to do, everything would work out. Save your money and you'll be okay. And Gen X believed this, and that's what we did. We did our best, and I want the best for us. So the bottom line in this video is the Social Security trap of taxation was something that was set up 40 years ago, trying to hit these higher income earners. And in fact, it has caught those of us moderate income folks in that net. So knowing the trap is there is step one, and building around it is what we do next. So that's it. Now that we all know. And Gen Xers will do what we do best, which is roll our eyes and make it work. If you made it this far, I'll just ask that you support my small channel. It will really help if you just give it a like, a subscribe, a share. Any little effort really does make a big difference. I have really enjoyed spending this time with you. Together, we're building a life we love. This is Gen X Missy. Until next time.